Singapore nowadays is well known for its squeaky clean image and a population of law-abiding citizens. The issue of motorcycle gangs like the ones found elsewhere in the world and modeled after US outlaw motorcycle clubs, as well as violent youth motorcycle groups like the Bosozoku of Japan, is no longer an issue in modern Singapore. However, most of us acknowledge that there was a period of time where antisocial motorcycle groups existed in Singapore's past, and looking at various grainy old photos of the past has sparked an interest in me to dig up old articles that shed light about what motorcycle groups were like in ye olde Singapore before we cleaned up our public image. Between the late 1970s and 1980s, groups of thrill-seeking youths, dubbed as Hell Riders by the media, held illegal motorcycle street racing on public roads. Hell Riders tend to consist of youths of all races, aged between 16 and 22, who were likely to be riding illegally modified motorcycles in the 125cc to 350cc range. Some of the common modifications done to their motorcycles included, but were not limited to, altered exhaust pipes for better and louder acceleration and extended throttle cables to improve revving performance. Hell riding gangs were often identified by the colour and marking on their crash helmets, symbols and logos. Described as a motorcycle fraternity, a gang could number from between 20 to 170 members, with a leader helming each gang most of the time. Riding a motorcycle with registration number 1, a leader's job was to champion for his members and recruit more people. Additionally, these gangs were racially segregated and inter-gang rivalry was rife, and petty crimes including theft and burglary to fund gang activities and races were rampant. Held in circuits, jackpot races were organised races involving both gangs and motorcycle shops. These races ran in the early morning and were often very difficult to detect. Such races were filled with mechanics, tow trucks, logistic support, and a large crowd of spectators. Particularly, gambling syndicates were present in these circuits to conduct illegal betting on races. Some Hell Riders were even hired and sponsored by these syndicates as jockeys, making the races more attractive. Gangs would often gather at various food centres such as Jalan Bukit Merah, Orchard Mall and Telok Ayer Hawker Centre in the early evenings on Saturday, Sunday, public holidays and the eve of public holidays. They would head down to theatres with midnight shows such as Prince Theatre at Beach Road and Bedok Theatre at Changi, before moving to various racing circuits after the shows. While spontaneous races did occur at traffic junctions, organised races against different gangs and illegal betting were held in these circuits. It has also been reported that some women riders participated in these races. These women were the subject of bets among onlookers because of the novelty of their presence. Male riders often acted as lookouts during such races because they were banned from challenging the women. Despite initial measures to crack down on hell riding activities, reported cases of hell riding continued to rise, from 1,509 in 1981 to 2,986 in 1982 and 3,728 in 1983. The rapidly increasing death rates among motorcyclists and bystanders was a worrying trend that emerged with hell riding. In 1982, there were 126 deaths, 509 serious injuries, and more than 5,000 minor injuries from motorcycle mishaps. These deaths were attributed to the hell riders' dangerous and reckless riding, their lack of experience, and road conditions. Amidst the growing number of hell riders and hell riding activity, members of the public called out to the relevant authorities for stronger and tougher police action. In response, the traffic police upgraded their enforcement squad to be better equipped at chasing the hell riders. The Special Enforcement Squad, otherwise known as the Mobile Squad, was a new elite police unit that had been formed in response to the growing number of hell riding cases. They were tasked to rid the streets of hell riders, performing escort duties to VIPs and patrolling in plainclothes. The squad was trained by 5-time Japanese motocross champion Mr. Kazutoshi Iwao. The 2-week course taught them better riding techniques in rough conditions and upgrading the professional skill of the traffic police. Police Constables Mota bin Haji Abdul Rahman and Uonos Muhammad of the SES were 2 exemplary traffic policemen. They were commended by the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Goh Yong Hong, for their courage, dedication, and consistently high standard of performance. They were even able to strike fear in the hell riders, becoming legends in the motorbiking world. The Road Traffic Act was passed in Parliament to curb hell riding activities during the 1970s. Under the Act, motorists were charged with dangerous or reckless driving. A first offence carried a maximum penalty of 1,000 Singaporean dollars or 6 months imprisonment or both, with a possible disqualification of their driving licence. A second offence or more carried a double penalty with a mandatory disqualification of licence. Amidst calls from the members of the public to toughen existing penalties, an amended bill was then passed in 1984. The Road Traffic Act Amendment No. 2 charged anyone who promoted or took part in any unauthorised competition or a trial of speed, with a mandatory jail sentence of up to 6 months for a first offence and 12 months for subsequent offences. Fines were also increased from 1,000 Singaporean dollars to 2,000 Singaporean dollars for first-time offenders and 2,000 Singaporean dollars to 3,000 Singaporean dollars for others. Offenders also faced mandatory disqualification from driving and possible forfeiture of their vehicles. Following that, Operation Roadrunner 2 was conducted on 21 October 1984. It was the first major operation after the implementation of the amended bill. The big crackdown at Changi Point resulted in the seizure of 224 motorcycles. Riders were also made to attend a special crash lesson that included a 45-minute lecture and slideshow on the virtues of safe riding on public highways. In addition to the Road Traffic Act, the state began to ban learner riders from the roads from October 1985. Learner riders were also required to undergo a more comprehensive test at the Ang Mo Kio driving and riding circuit to ensure that they were able to handle the machines skillfully. Motorists were also required to regularly send their motorcycles to the Registry of Vehicles for inspections, and offenders would be booked for minor modifications. By 1985, the number of motorcyclist deaths fell below 100 for the first time since 1981, and by 1987, Singapore registered its lowest road death rate in 31 years. Hell riding activities were largely contained by the end of the 1980s. The reckless endangerment to public mass violence between gangs, and financially motivated petty and organized crime had largely disappeared from not only the local motorcycling world but also Singapore as a whole. Nowadays, motorcycle organizations bearing passing aesthetical similarities to American gangs like the Mongols and Hells Angels do continue to exist in Singapore in some form or another, but violent and criminal activity is nearly non-existent among them, as most groups nowadays revolve around bonding among riders and community outreach. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Were you around during the heydays of hell riding activity in Singapore? Were you involved in the scene? Let us know your story, or if there are any facts that need to be corrected in the comments below. If you found the video interesting, do give me a like and subscribe, and possibly a small donation to keep this channel going, and I will see you next time. Peace out, bye bye.